Thank you, Reverend Fisher. I am truly blessed to have Roger as my campaign manager. And many of you tonight are old friends, and many of you are new people that I'm meeting for the first time. And I got to tell you, I am overwhelmed by your support. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I know it was quite a drive for many of you, especially my friends from Bentleyville that have come up from the Valley, from Charleroi, and a lot of the other areas of the county. We truly have a representation from throughout the county in this room. And I was going to introduce my family members. Roger's already done that for me, and I appreciate that. And I've been blessed with a solid foundation. I've been blessed with a family. My parents, Jean and Mary Ann, that have taught me right from wrong and led me to where I am today. And I also am blessed with a very good friend and somebody that has been there every step of the way with me, Jane Ann, and who has given me two wonderful children, Michael and Laura. And I thank you for being here today. I also would like to thank my host, Mr. Ray Bologna, who was kind enough to offer this venue so that we can meet together tonight and talk a little bit. Many generations of the Vittone family have made their home here in Washington County, and we've all had a great love for the uniqueness of this community and its people. Over the past few months, since March, I have been practically every corner of this county talking with voters. In my travels, I always find something new or interesting to take home to Laura or Michael to share with them. And sometimes when I'm traveling along our rural roads or through one of the smaller communities, I'm reminded of my own childhood growing up here. And that was a time when people sat on their front porches and they talked with their neighbors, and you could leave your keys in your car or even your front door unlocked and not have to worry about it. I think we can all look back upon those times and remember a time when we could, with a smile, a time when we were all a little less cautious and more carefree. But soon reality sets in, and we realize that the times have changed. Just read any police blotter in any local newspaper, and you will see that the scourge of drugs has taken root in our communities. The drug dealers are more blatant and aren't operating in the shadows anymore. They blend in with the community, often dealing in broad daylight, or maybe even from a home down the street from you. In my more than 10 years as a prosecutor in the district attorney's office, I've seen firsthand how drug abuse and addiction and the crime related to that offer nothing but heartbreak and destruction to many of our families. You may personally know of someone whose life has been touched by drug addiction. The drug dealers see nothing wrong with peddling this poison for their own profit. They don't care. I care. And let me make this clear. As district attorney, I will work with our local law enforcement agencies to increase our drug task force operations so that we can root out and rid our communities of the trash and put the drug dealers where they belong. Not back out on the street, but in jail, where they can't harm our young people and our families. Thank you. I also have great concern for our seniors. They grew up in a time when you could take people at their word, and they were quick to trust. But today, criminals are using new technological tools like the internet to defraud and abuse our senior population. I'm sure it doesn't surprise you that crimes against seniors are on the increase. Personally, as an assistant district attorney, I have seen crimes against the elderly that range from financial schemes, exploitation, assault, and even homicide. Increasing crimes against our elderly was one of the reasons I established, and I've been fortunate enough to supervise the Office of Crimes Against Seniors within the Washington County DA's office. It's an accomplishment that I'm very proud of. That office is responsible for prosecuting those who prey upon our seniors. And I want our seniors to know that when I'm district attorney, our office will continue to prosecute those who try to take advantage of them. The forward progress of this office will continue, and we will work very hard to build the awareness needed in our county about this program so our seniors can feel safe and secure in their homes and online. I mentioned a few moments ago about my travels throughout the county. I I remember being asked by a little girl at the Canonsburg 4th of July parade, what does the district attorney do? I wanted to be able to explain the job in terms that she could understand, with the hope that one day she would remember that conversation and might want to become a district attorney or become active in law enforcement. So I will tell you what I told her. A district attorney represents you, the resident of Washington County. When somebody does something bad or hurts someone and is arrested, the district attorney does everything legally in his or her power to make sure that that person goes to jail and that justice is served. Over the years, I've seen the devastation that is left behind after a crime is committed. I've seen it on the faces of a parent whose child was abused. I've seen it on rape victims. I've seen it on people who are victims of other types of violent crimes or crimes of financial exploitation. I always approach these cases and these crimes with one overriding thought. How would I like this prosecuted if this was a member of my own family? I would want a tough prosecutor who would use every legal means available to convict the guilty. That's how I am in court, and you can expect that I will live up to my reputation as a tough prosecutor, as Washington County's district attorney. Washington County voters have a choice in a few weeks for the election for district attorney. There are similarities between me and my opponent. We're both Italian American. We're both trial lawyers. We're both members of the Washington County Bar. Unlike my opponent, I'm not a triathlete. You can probably see that just looking at me. But I'm in pretty good shape. I ran track in high school and it's carried me this far. Aside from college, I've lived in Washington County my entire life. Jean Ann and I make our home in Bentleyville, and we're raising our 2 children in that community. My opponent just recently moved to Washington County from Westmoreland. While we both have private law practices, I spend my time protecting the property rights of taxpayers and landowners. My opponent's website says that his law practice, quote, includes the defense of adults and juveniles in all types of cases, ranging from DUI and driver license issues to criminal homicide, unquote. I have spent my entire legal career as a prosecutor. That is a role that is vastly different from that of a criminal defense attorney who defends a person accused of a crime. A few years ago, the DA's office prosecuted a 17-year-old who was charged with murdering and raping his adoptive mother. My opponent was on his defense team. Our office also prosecuted a case in which a local man was abducted, driven to Greene County, tortured, and murdered. It would be a year of pain and anguish for his family until his body was discovered. My opponent was on the defense team that represented one of the killers. And I also want to comment on something else. There have been some recent reports about the district attorney's office allowing people that brought to trial to walk free under a legal rule called the Rule 600. That's a legal term that compels a judge to dismiss a case if a case isn't brought to trial within a certain statutory time period, or a time period mandated by law. Just a few observations about that. When I worked in the DA's office, my colleagues and I did not live under a rock, and we were very mindful of this rule, and we worked diligently to make sure the cases were not dismissed under Rule 600. And I can assure you that in my administration, it won't happen on my watch. Secondly, no case that I was responsible for as a prosecutor was ever dismissed under this rule. Thirdly, my opponent through media proxy has tried to make this an issue in this campaign. The truth is my opponent and his defense of criminals benefited from this rule to have felony criminal charges dismissed by the court. Now, isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? I'm proud of my accomplishments as a community leader. As a youth sports coach, I might have coached your child or helped your son in Scouts. I may have helped your family with an emergency situation when I was fortunate enough to work with Billy Jane in ambulance and chair as a paramedic or as a volunteer firefighter. Being part of our community and knowing the people who live here is far more important to me than any laundry list of campaign endorsements. 4 years ago, Washington County voters, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents joined together and brought fresh leadership and vision to the office of District Attorney in this county. Within a few months, the tainted scandal and the investigation surrounding that office all evaporated. There was a renewed commitment to protect our citizens from crime and to prosecute to the full extent of the law those who made the determination to commit murder, peddle drugs, or commit a felony of any type. We cannot afford to turn the calendar back to the year 2007. We need a district attorney who is an experienced prosecutor, who knows our communities, who has the administrative know-how to run an efficient and productive office, and who will protect our most valuable vulnerable populations, our children, our grandchildren, and our seniors. I am that candidate. And tonight I stand before you not only to ask for your vote, but to encourage you, please get your friends and neighbors to vote Vittone on November 8th. Thank you.